All right, we've got a little side work on, but today I'm gonna tear apart this transmission, TSX Type S. We've got the boost controller working, so now it's time to make sure the trans doesn't explode and leave me stranded. So I was told that this is a 6-speed with a busted third gear. So I know it at least should have LSD because I can see it. But the rest of it is a huge question mark. It does kind of go into gear, sort of, sometimes when it wants to. So let's get it apart and take a look at the stack. So the transmission is healthy, except for that guy. He got turned into metal stew. So I gotta disassemble the stack, check it over, make sure I'm not missing anything. Press out the bearings because it's damaged on both shafts. I'm sorry, the gear. And then, yeah, put it back together. Just get her done. Uh-oh. That's not good. Let's see the extent of the damage. All right, now for the fun part. So the trans is pretty much clean. I've got all the debris out of it. You can see where the just chunks just ripped into the case, but shouldn't be a problem because all of the races seem okay. So I don't really think there's gonna be any bearing issues. Should be fine. So now that the trans is clean, I've already went and cleaned up the mating surface with the cookie wheel, cleaned up the dowels so that they'll slide nice and easy. This thing's been apart a lot, so I am gonna hit it with my thread repair just to try to clean up the holes so that I don't worry about blowing out any threads because there's probably just a gallon of RTV in there. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up and then I can get to assembling. So upon further inspection, I found a slight issue. That's gonna be a problem. So that means I need a new main shaft, sorry, counter shaft. Yeah, I mean, I've got my 6th and everything, so at least that'll all go on normally, but it's not gonna fly. I mean, this might work, but I don't know. If I don't, I just don't wanna have to rip it apart again, so yep. Get it redid. All right, so we're getting kind of close to where everything needs to be. So for a bit of a recap, we've built the main shaft. I've swapped over the torched shaft. That leaves the counter. Disassemble the counter, get all the bearings pressed out, or sorry, all the gears pressed out, and then get them installed onto the new counter shaft. We went with a EP3 5-speed first and second. And then we also went with a EP3 5-speed final. So it's going to have 1, 2 EP3 RSX Type S 3 through 6, and then a 4.3 final from a 4.6 final. I just found a good deal on the set with the shaft because you have to pair them, and it's taller, which is my initial goal, was to try to get this taller to help compensate for the fact that we're going to be making way more power than we need. Well, not than we need, but than the car was designed for with these ratios. So the bigger you can make it, the more power in between gears you'll have. So yeah, I've got a bearing and seal kit from Synchrotech, and I got some new diff bearings. So let's get it disassembled. All right, so we pushed the counter shaft out of the stack. Now we're gonna go in, replace the broken sections, flip it upside down, and reinstall. All right, first, second are swapped over. That's the main shaft, sorry, counter shaft. So let's go ahead and get everything installed onto the shaft. Well, that was fun. So the counter set, all the bearings are in. Everything is nice and not chipped. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the stack sent over. And then I realized I didn't order diff bolts, so I'm gonna have to wait for those to come in. But that should be about it. Should be about ready. You know, I guess we'll just have to see how well everything goes. I don't think there's gonna be any problems, but I'm a little nervous because when I was assembling it inside the stack, I noticed the bearings were tight. So I don't know if that's gonna cause me any issues when I go back together, but we'll see. So, yeah. All right, so I think I've got it mostly figured out. This was the wrong needle bearing. This was for the smaller shaft, smaller counter. This is the correct one, so this one fits on right. So now I gotta take this one out, get the bearing put in, and test the stack, and we'll see how well everything lines up. So it's not often, but sometimes things work. Oh, I needed this today. All right, so stack's in, bearing fits perfectly. Next step is to put the diff in and see if I can get it in smoothly. If not, I'll press it in. And then it's stack and then case test. And yeah, should work. Oh yeah, we are in business, baby. All right, 6-speed is loaded up. It's a RSX 6-speed with an EP3 final gear, but an LSD out of the Type S, and then 1 and 2 also out of the EP3. So yeah, let's get this sucker sealed up and